Hello everybody, the Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and most importantly, music to the masses. I hope everyone is enjoying the beginning of spring. I am as well. I'm happy to finally be able to wear some lighter clothes. And yeah, I am back with another Digging Through Discography, where we take a look at a band's entire collection of CDs. Today we are on the third part of the Stone Temple Pilots discography, where we will be looking at Tiny Music, songs from the Vatican gift shop. So, in early 1995, shortly after the band was forced to scrap 2 weeks worth of recorded material, lead singer Scott Weiland was arrested for heroin and cocaine possession and sentenced to 1 year's probation. As you can see, his drug issues finally caught up with him at that moment in time. In the months following the incident, Weiland formed his own side band, the Magnificent Bastards, and recorded songs for the Tank Girl soundtrack and for a John Lennon tribute album. During this time, the rest of the band decided to put together their own side project, which would later become the band Talk Show. Basically, in the fall of 1995, the band got back together, and this caused a little bit of a dilemma for Robert and Dean. They wanted to see what songs they were going to put on the Stone Temple Pilots record, and what songs would be on their Talk Show album. Basically, there's a lot of songs that could have swung one way or another, as they have previously stated. In October 1995, the band regrouped to begin recording their third album, renting out a mansion in Santa Barbara, California, for the band to live together during the recording process. The album's sound marked a drastic change from their previous outings, oriented more in the direction of glam rock and psychedelic music. This album had 3 singles: Big Bang Baby on March 23rd, 1996, Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart on July 2nd, 1996, and Lady Picture Show on November 6th, 1996. And the album was released on March 5th, 1996. Now, like I said, this is a little bit of a different sound. Again, this might be due to the fact of just what they were experimenting with at the time, also with the different voice timbre of Scott Weiland at the time. Again, with his drug addiction, he was losing a little bit more of his lower register, and it definitely sounds like that on this album. You know, there are still some songs that feel similar to what they did on their previous album, you know, some heavier stuff, but for the most part, this is a more subdued CD. From the get-go, you get the song Press Play, which is just an intro song with some Fender Rhodes piano. It's really fun, it's really funky, it's a nice way of starting the album. Then you get this very glamish, psychedelic pop love Suicide. It's an interesting one. It has this feel of a 60s song, but also trying to make it a little bit more modern at the time. This is the first example where you hear that Weiland's vocals feel a little bit more strained, a little bit more nasally. And it's not a huge problem, but there are some times when it becomes a problem, like on this song, because the harmonies above it sound so weird because they don't gel very well. It's an alright song. It's very interesting and definitely very experimental for them. Then you get Tumble in the Rough, which is one of these more heavier songs. It has some good momentum from the drums, and it's a great bass line on there as well. It's a fun song, and what I like about it is that every time there's a new chorus, it adds a new harmony on top, where it's using like the 7th or the 9th. A lot of very jazzy elements on this album that you'll see going forward. Next song, you got Big Bang Baby. From Big Bang Baby to like Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart, these are some of the best songs on the album. Big Bang Baby, one of my favorite bass lines from a CD of theirs ever. It's one of the first ones that I tried to learn, and it's a lot of fun. This is very psychedelic rock, very 60s, even with these like Beatle-esque harmonies on the bridge. It's a weird song. A lot of these songs do fun and weird in a great way. Our Schoolgirl's another one of those weird ones that are also very fun at the same time. This song is very subdued at the beginning, and then it gets kind of heavier at the chorus. And again, I love it's not my favorite song, but I love the contrast in the very tame ideas of, I got a girlfriend, she goes to art school. I got an art school girlfriend, yeah. To the, I told you 5 or 4 times. And it's just like very, very jarring at times. The only thing that feels a little bit weird is the bridge part where it gets to like, like the very hummy, and then it just goes back into it. It's a weird song, but I like the experimenting that they go on here. And a couple other songs that are very fun are Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart, my favorite song on the album. The bass line's fantastic. The guitar solo is one of the best that they've had. And it's just a really fun, frantic song that takes away from, you know, all those slower songs that come before it. It does feel a little bit like stuff that they've done in the past, but again, because of Whelan's voice, it is a little bit thinner. It's not as hard-hitting as stuff on Core or Purple, but that's not a problem. It's still a really nice song. And then everything else kind of is a little bit slower, but not in a bad way. I love a lot of the songs that are the slower ones because it has so much more depth to them. So, for example, you got Lady Picture Show, and like a lot of these slower songs are the more jazzy songs, more psychedelic songs that I love. So, like, for example, on Lady Picture Show, you got a pretty easy progression. E, B, A, and then D major 7. They're using a lot of these ideas on a lot of those songs. And one thing I also love is the guitar solo on Lady Picture Show. Beautiful. I love the beginning of it. Like that, just that lick itself, beautiful, very easy. This song has so many great harmonies on it. The melody is fantastic, and it fits Whelan's voice so well. These more jazzy ones fit Whelan's voice in a fantastic way. Next one of them being And So I Know, and it's this just easy progression of E major 7 to G7, G major 7. And then it goes to an A major 7 to a C 7. And that chorus of never, ever be this way. Within the and so I know it's begun again. Such a beautiful song with amazing melody lines. And then the other one that fits this mold so well is Adhesive. It is a slow song, a slow burn, which even has a beautiful, fantastic trumpet solo. I love this song. And again, one that is pretty easy in terms of a chord progression, but so jazzy. So that's mostly the verse part, but the chorus part is also fantastic. This E adhesive love, adhesive. It's a C major 7. Adhesive love. This CD does experimenting so well. And there's even a interlude song that is also beautiful called Daisy. One of my favorite instrumentals that they have done with this so E minor 7 to B7, C major 7, A minor 7, B7. The melody, boo doo 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 doo. it's like a very early jazz song, and I love it. I love the experimenting on a lot of this album. It is beautiful, and it works Whelan's voice so well. I will say Ride the Cliché and 7 Cage Tigers, 2 of the last 3 songs, not bad, but not really stand out to me. The melody on Ride the Cliché is fun. This step approach of do 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 do, really fun. And then 7 Cages Tigers feels a little bit like the chord progression for Daisy, and there's a lot of really cool color changes, but it's not the most amazing ender. You know, it doesn't hit Kitchenware and Candy Bars, but it's better than Where the River Goes to me. And it does have this little echoing sound of And So I Know at the end. A lot of these lyrics on the album deal with either Whelan's heroin addiction, songs like Adhesive, songs like Tripping on a Hole in Paper Heart, which is literally about a drug trip. Tumble in the Rough also seems like something about Whelan's addictions, where he can't really do anything without it. 7 Cage Tigers feels like a song about an acid trip. Again, this particular album is a little bit harder to figure out exactly what the lyrics are, because just like in the experimentation of the music, the experimentation of the vocals and the lyrics are also a little bit out there. So you can get a lot of multiple interpretations from this, and I think that's the idea of where they were going for. A lot of other songs do feel like about mainstream media and how people approach mainstream media, stuff like Pops Love Suicide, stuff like Big Bang Baby, and also Ride the Cliché also have those themes about the mainstream media and how we all approach it. And then there's a couple others. Art School Girl is actually about a girlfriend that Whelan had before he was in SCP, a woman called Mary Ann who did go to art school, though some of those lyrics aren't factual. Like the places that they lived and stuff like that weren't actually factual, but it is a song about a past love. And then Lady Picture Show, which is this beautiful song, is pretty dark, actually. So the song Lady Picture Show is about a gang rape of a dancer who winds up falling in love but can't let go of the pain of the past. And we talked about the song Sex Type Thing and how much of a backlash that song got for how they portrayed rape and domestic violence. This one I think does a little bit better. I think it's a very beautiful song that has a very deep message without being over the top. Like, honestly, I had no idea that was what the song was about until I read the lyrics. So there's a lot of interesting lyrics on this album that goes really well with the experimentation that is on this album. In the United States, the album debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 with 162,500 copies sold. Because of tour cancellations, Time Music did not receive as much exposure as initially intended. Big Bang Baby peaked at number 1 on the mainstream rock tracks and number 2 on the modern rock tracks chart. Lady Picture Show peaked at number 1 on the mainstream rock tracks and number 6 on the modern rock tracks chart. Dripping on a Hole in the Paper Heart peaked at number 1 on the mainstream rock tracks and number 3 on the modern rock tracks chart. And Tumble in the Rough peaked at number 9 on the mainstream rock tracks and number 36 on the modern rock tracks chart. Critical discussion at the time was kind of mixed because they weren't used to the experimentation and because that they said that the music wasn't interesting or didn't stand out enough. A lot of people did say that, though there were some people who appreciated the way that they experimented. As time went on, though, this CD got more of the attention that it deserved. After Whelan's death, Billy Corgan of Smashing Pumpkins says, "It was SCP's 3rd album that got me hooked. Wizardly mix of glam and post-punk, and I confess to Scott, as well as the band many times, how wrong I've been for assessing their native brilliance. And like Bowie can and does, it was Scott's phrasing that pushed his music into a unique and hard to pin down aesthetic sonic sphere. Lastly, I'd like to share a thought with which, though clumsy, I hope would please Scott in hominem. And that's, if you ask me who I truly believe were the great voices of our generation, I'd say he, Lane, Staley, and Kurt Cobain." In 2016, the AV Club noted that Time Music was an almost shocking leap forward in creative ambition, and then SCP got weirder and better than anyone gives them credit for. And I agree with that. I love this album because of his experimentation. Yeah, and yeah, sometimes it doesn't work. Our School Girl feels a little bit weird. Pops Love Suicide is a little bit weird. Riley Cliché is a little bit weird, but it's weird in a good way, and I love a lot of this album because of that. So for me, this is hard. I know that Purple is my number one so far because, again, still I can find faults on this album, like I can find faults on Core. For me, and by the slimmest of margins, I'm going to put this album above Core. And I think I might change that later, but I think what I love is that each one of these songs feels like its own thing. And yeah, there might be some more faults on this one than there is Core, but I think Core, its problem is that there's too many songs that sound similar, whereas with this album, I feel like each one of its songs has not just its own identity, but its own greater meaning with the lyrics. And I love the idea of these lyrics being very indecipherable at times. So for me, I'm going to be putting Core number 3, Tiny Music number 2, and Purple number 1. And I did not even expect that going in, but that's where we're at. So one other quick thing about this album, or the things around this album, is Whelan's drug use continued after his sentence, and it caused STV to cancel some more of their 1996-1997 tour for Tiny Music. And like I said, that affected its sales and its notoriety, and that's something that you're going to be seeing down the line, unfortunately, as we go over the last 3 albums of his. But, you know, that is my time. I hope you did enjoy this. If you love this album, give this video a like. Tell me what you love or hate about this album. Share this with your friends. The most important thing for you is to subscribe to this channel so that I know you like what I do and want to see more of what I do. And then finally, just keep on watching my videos. So tomorrow, I'll be back with another 5-minute theory. Until then, this is The Music Fan, and I am signing off.